Welcome all to this edition of El Cafecito. I'm Aaron Espinoza, an Inclusion Engagement Leader with the Multicultural and Activities programs. With us today, we have Sarah Delgado, Recruitment and Alumni Chair with AMAS. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Great start to the day. Looks like cloudy morning, but otherwise really great.
hmm
Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started then. What current trend makes no sense to you?
Ooh, what current trend? Probably WAP. I don't know. It's amazing to me how it has like 100 million views on YouTube. I haven't seen it yet, and I don't really plan on watching it. That and probably like cringy TikTokers. I follow this page on Instagram called Influencers in the Wild, and they just go around like finding random TikTokers in the streets and stuff, and it's the funniest thing. They put their own audio to it. It's so funny. But yeah, those are pretty weird trends, I think.
I'll have to get into the one. The TikTok one sounds pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, Influencers in the Wild. That's what it's called. It's pretty funny.
All right. What's the most ridiculous thing you've bought?
Okay, so I used to be huge into thrift shopping back in high school. Like I still do it. I love thrifting, but I don't do it as much as I used to. And so this one thing I bought, I love it so much. I've absolutely never worn it, and I probably won't until I'm a grandma. But it's this denim vest that has wooden buttons.
Uh,
And on the front, it has like four cats on it, and they're just like long, skinny cats. And then on the back, it's the cats again, but like from behind. So it's like their little tails on it. And
what?
it's a thing. It's so ugly, but I love it. And
No,
I'm never gonna wear it.
you have to. Now
I
I
might.
have. Now I have to see it. Now I think
Okay.
I'm all about like vintage like clothing and like embroidered stuff. So I mean I may be biased, but I think clothing like that looks great. You know,
It's like super quirky and tacky and stuff.
I like.
I love it. I'm
I
just not brave enough to wear it.
I think you could pull it off. With the right maybe some like high-waisted chinos with some white Converse, maybe. There you go.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'd have to try it. I'll try
You got this.
it.
What are some tips and tricks you've picked up on the job?
Well, currently I work at the Turner Collection. That's like this high-end kind of designer, but not like Gucci designer, but it's other
Mhm.
designers that you haven't really heard of. So pretty much it's a lot of like people with money shop there pretty much. And so what I've learned is to carry myself higher in front of these people because, we go to school and we just wear t-shirts and like shorts and stuff and nobody really cares how anybody looks. But for my job, I have to look presentable every single day because I work Monday to Friday. And so then I go to class looking like that. And it makes me feel a lot better about myself, holding myself to that higher standard, even when I'm in class surrounded by people that just kind of show up in sweats and PJs and stuff. And so I've learned that. And also that these people have money. And, I really do want money in the future. So I got to work really hard to be where they are because that's ultimately the goal in the end. Like we all want money to be happy, and because happiness isn't always free. Money helps definitely.
Oh yes, but my props to you. I don't think I could put it. And with that being said, I don't think I could put forth the effort to dress up every day. So kudos to you. You got like my 12 out of 10 rating.
Thank you.
Uh, are there any apps on your phone that you can't live without?
Admittedly, yes. I'm addicted to Instagram. No, it's fine. But like,
That's
I'm
fair.
always on there. I'm on there so much. I find it that like every time I'm not doing something, I just pull out my phone and immediately open Instagram and start scrolling. It's a really bad habit, but I can't live without it. And my Instagram is Sarah and Delgado, so follow me on there because I want to
There
be in
you
your photo.
go.
Yeah.
Gotta
That's
throw in that plug. Well, it's honestly, given that recently we've all been in lockdown and quarantine at some point within the past 6 months, it's been pretty vital for us to have that access through social media because, like, a lot of that follows us into work as well. We didn't realize, say 15 years ago, we didn't realize how big of a component social media would have been within the workplace as far as like advertising, you know, your place of work and also yourself because that's what people see and look at.
Definitely. Even for work now, I have so many accounts on my phone, on my Instagram, like not just my personal one, but for
Yeah.
work. I'm always posting while I'm there just the whole time. So it's a big deal now at the same time.
Oh, yes. What interesting hobbies do you have, if any?
Well, first of all, I'm in the ASU Wind Ensemble. I recently got asked just a couple weeks ago to join because they
Mhm.
needed a first chair flute player.
Oh,
So it was really cool. It was kind of an honor that they asked me to just join without auditioning because they just needed somebody to fill in the principal player's position. So I play the flute. It's stressful sometimes because you have to hold yourself to a higher standard again, but it's still really fun. It's one of my passions, and yeah.
that's amazing though, because I mean, like, of course, I know myself personally, I often underestimate myself, but then I have to remind myself we're chosen based on people being able to see our potential, either our potential or our just ability to do so anyway. So I think I have to, it's like, it's a good balance of like anxiety and then realizing
Yeah.
that you're there, where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pressure, but I think it's worth it.
Oh yeah. What's the most interesting documentary you've ever watched? Documentary. I don't know why I butchered that word.
I think it has to be one that I watched either in middle school or high school. I can't remember. I don't know what it's called either. But it was about what would happen if all humans just kind of disappeared
I've,
out of
s-
like 1 second to the next. Have you seen that one? Because I think a lot of people watched that one in school.
it's
And it was really crazy because at first all these cars were like still running, all the lights were still on and stuff, and like just I don't know, I guess combustion from the like people using technology and stuff just really like kind of it was bad at first, but then you could see how nature was taking over and healing itself and stuff, and that was a really cool part. So it was
it's
really interesting.
it's crazy though to think that, like, I mean, if you, again, we go back to the whole quarantine thing, we saw like less emissions going on during that period, which is
Yeah.
no one was traveling, no one was driving to work, and it's
Yeah,
crazy.
how like the skies just cleared up in some cities. I know in Lima, I lived in Lima for a year,
Mhm.
and there the skies are just gray, like all the time. It's raining, the sun's out, but it's still gray. And because of COVID, the skies like people saw sunsets, like beautiful ones that we have in West Texas here. And it was really cool to see that because that's just so rare. It never happens.
I think we take it
I
for
think we
granted.
take it for granted. Yeah, for sure. I love a good sunset.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do a 30-second challenge. Uh, the way this works, try your best to answer within a 30-second time frame. If not, totally cool. What really needs to be modernized and why?
What needs to be modernized? I would say the goal of our education system in the US, probably.
Honestly,
Because I've seen in other countries, like in Germany and Peru, how people go to school and they actually learn things. Not to like hate on the United States for their education system, but I don't know. You see that top 10% in high school, and if you're in it, then you know a lot of stuff. You're super smart and everything, but what about the rest of the 90? Like what is in it for them, because so many students just go through school and just to get that piece of paper. It doesn't mean that they actually learned anything, and I think that's super disappointing because it's so much time, it's years of our lives that could be better spent if we actually retain the information that we were supposed to be taught well. So like what is really the goal for education here? Is it for us to like use that for the rest of our lives, or is it just to have a piece of paper?
I like that. I really think I'll quote my professor, one of my professors on this, that we're so often, I wouldn't say taught necessarily, but trained to just memorize information and regurgitate to know, kind of say, I can put it back out. And at that point, I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but do we really retain that information, like you said?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the most ironic thing you've seen happen?
Ooh, probably my dogs. So I have two dogs. One of them is Penny. She's my sister's dog. She's really skinny and lean, all pretty, and like walks all cute and everything. And then there's my dog. And he's this chunky old man. Like they're
Oh,
both small, but he has all these whiskers and stuff and like white hairs on his eyebrows, and he's the cutest thing. But people, whenever they meet them for the first time, they come over and say, "Oh, like he's so old. Is he like how old is he?" And I always tell them, "Well, funny story. He's 3 years younger than Penny, so I know he just looks like an old man, but he's really the baby."
Aww.
Yeah, I know. It's like a Benjamin Button. His name is Benji too, so that's ironic. That's ironic.
What was something you thought would be horrible but turned out to be great?
There's this fruit called a durian. Have you ever heard of it?
I have. People say that it has like a horribly pungent smell, but I think if it's anything like jackfruit, it tastes kind of delicious.
See, I've never tried jackfruit, but I tried durian a couple weeks ago for the first time, and it was the same thing. Like I had two friends with me, and one of them was saying like, "Nope, I cannot handle the smell of it. I would never eat that. I've tried it before. I couldn't even hold it down." And then my other friend said, "No, it's so good. You have to try it. It's amazing."
Uh-huh.
And so we had it like in a frozen package, and so they opened it, and my one friend that hated it, she was like, "Nope, I'm leaving. I can't be here." And the other friend was like, "Here, try it, try it, try it." And so I took a bite of it, and I'll admit at first it smelled like a cleaning product. Like I could have sprayed my bathroom with it and just wiped down my tile or something. Like it smelled kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I tried it, and it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't great like the question's asking, but it wasn't terrible either. And I was surprised, and honestly I would eat it again. I would.
I think that's fair, you know? Gotta try
Yeah, I think
so. In 3 words, describe yourself to us.
Okay, I would say spontaneous, first of all. I love just calling up friends at random times of day and just like saying, "Hey, let's go out to eat, let's go take pictures, let's go just hang out and do something, find something to do." That I would say outgoing, I think. I like to think I'm outgoing and friendly. I just love meeting new people all the time.
Oh, those are great. Those are great. I can see that. I can definitely see those.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. What bit of trivia do you know that is interesting, but also quite useless?
Well, for starters, I think most trivia is typically useless. But unless they're on like a game show, that's the only time it means anything. But, when I went to Machu Picchu, I went to visit Peru, and so I went to Cusco. And our tour guide told us, or he showed us how the mountains that, like the iconic picture of Machu Picchu, if you turn it sideways, the mountains make an outline, like a silhouette of like a person's face. And it looks like the emperor that would have been there, you know, like it really does look like an Incan emperor. And so that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, like he's got a big nose and everything. It really looks legit, like it was on purpose or something.
That's awesome. Now if I ever go to Machu Picchu, I can like, you know, like tilt.
Just like turn your head, look at it.
What is the best advice you have specifically for first-generation students?
I would say for first gen specifically to make friends in your classes with people in the same major as you, because my understanding of first gen is that a lot of times you might not have that proper support and from home, because it's a lot of pressure for you, and your family might not know how to help you. They might not know how to react and encourage you because they haven't been through school like you're doing. And so I think the best way to find a good support system that like knows how to be there for you is in your own classes. And I know everything's online now, or a lot of things are online. So if you can't talk to the person to your left and to your right, just email your class. You know, there might be somebody who will answer. And usually there is some person who will respond and say like, "Hey, I didn't understand that question either. And let's work together on it. Let's FaceTime or something. Let's Skype." There's so many different options for reaching out to people even now. And so, I mean, when you're both struggling through that class, you're going to have somebody to help you out in the end. It's not just going to be you by yourself. And that's really what we all need. And going through college for anybody is to have a good support system.
Most definitely. I can definitely speak to that experience as like reaching out to each other's classmates, you know, like studying with each other is like, you know, set up a Zoom face call. And the way we kind of study within the nursing classes I have, is we kind of story tell each other things, you know, like, what's this kind of condition? And then like we kind of like walk through the like, you know, what are the causes? What are the treatments? You know, what do we do? And like if we get stuck somewhere, there's two more of us there to be like, oh, okay, did you think about it this way? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad
Yeah.
you have that support system
Yeah.
too.
What would be some downsides of certain superpowers?
Probably that makes me think of like Dash in The Incredibles, how he couldn't play sports or anything. I mean, that's so sad because I I don't play sports, but I'm really competitive anyway, even though I'm not the greatest at sports. And so to think that I'm just cheating all the time, like that sucks. I mean, I would be so upset if I couldn't play just because I know that I'm going to be better than everyone else or something. Like that's a downside. It's a big
Like,
downside.
imagine having to explain that to your child, like you just can't have any fun because we don't, you're just that good that we're worried
Yeah.
someone else is gonna notice you have superpowers.
That's so sad. I'd be sad all the time.
Aw. Another 30-second challenge. What languages do you wish you could speak?
Ooh, so many, all of them. Honestly, yeah, I would want to speak Italian, Portuguese, Vietnamese, Korean, like, I don't know, any other language. I just love learning languages anyway.
See, I wish I totally, what's the word? Share that with you that like, you know, if I could learn all languages like simultaneously, that'd
Oh,
be amazing.
yeah.
I think of it in the way that like you're busting down a barrier. So like anybody can come and talk to you and ask you a question. And you're like, you can kind of like share that within their native tongue. And like, there's just that connection immediately.
hmm Yeah, for sure.
Um, what's something that everyone, absolutely everyone in the entire world can agree on?
I think we can all agree on that not everyone should be on social media or have that power. I think that's a pretty good answer because, you know, most things are debatable and stuff, but I think everyone's come across a post and said, like, they should not be saying that on here.
I think we all have that like that phase where we're like we were in middle school and Facebook or MySpace, Instagram was like the coolest thing ever, and we probably
Yeah,
posted some pretty cringy things. So,
yeah, probably.
uh, what is your best childhood memory?
My funniest I can say is when I was little, we were picking up my dog from the kennel because we went out on a trip and stuff like that. We came home to pick her up, and she was this big, beautiful German Shepherd Rottweiler mix.
Mhm.
And so it had rained that day, and I was so excited to see her, and I said, I want to hold the leash. I want to do it. Can I hold her? And I think you know where this is going. My parents said, no, 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 you're too little. You can't hold her leash. We're going to hold it for you. And so I was like, no, 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 I want to do it. Let me do it, please. And so they said, okay, fine. Take the leash. Go have fun. And so then we walk out of the kennel and my dog just bolts. I was holding on to her leash and she bolted. And so I was here just holding on with two hands, just like being dragged across the mud and everything. And finally she stopped. Like she knew our car and everything. So she took me to the car and I was like, I didn't let go. And here I was on the ground covered in mud and dirt. And like, it was great. It was so funny. But I didn't let go.
There you go. There, conviction was there.
Yep, it was there.
So I've had the same experience because maybe not necessarily to that extent, but I have an 80-pound Siberian Husky Malamute mix.
Oh,
When
wow.
she gets to running,
Oh,
especially
no.
when I tell you, I have been flung to the ground because she saw a squirrel.
Oh,
Oh my
no.
god!
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I let
My
her.
dogs now won't do that to me. They're too little. They
Oh,
just pull on the leash and they can't move. So they're so small.
oh. What is your biggest phobia?
Ooh. Oh, I know.
Uh,
Being pregnant. Honestly, that's my biggest phobia. I want to have kids, but just I don't want to be pregnant. So I'm definitely adopting because that's just too scary for me. Just the idea of like that anything could go wrong and stuff
yeah,
just scares me so much. And also, it's a lot of pressure to go through that for 9 months, I think. I don't know how mothers do it, and mothers are amazing for doing that, but it's not something that I want for myself. I'll just adopt.
Yeah, women are amazing, you know.
Yeah. They really
Pregnant,
are.
pregnancy and birth is like a miracle and wonder in itself. You know, it's kind of like,
Yeah, that's just terrifying to me. I could never.
oh no. What habit do you have now that you wish you had started much earlier?
Probably putting money in my mutual fund. I started one when I got out of high school, and it just sat there for a couple years until recently, very recently, that I just started putting money in there. And I mean, if I had been putting money in it this whole time, I would have a lot more right now. So definitely that for sure. I'm gonna teach my kids to start saving when they're young.
Yeah, just to get it
Mhm.
going and just keep up the
Yeah.
habit.
hmm
What life skills are rarely taught but extremely useful?
I think communication skills, and even though we take speech and stuff in high school and middle school, even, it's not really like, yeah, you can give a speech after that class, but it doesn't mean that you know how to talk to people necessarily. So I
Mhm.
think we should be teaching like how to have conversations and stuff like that, and how to, I don't know, just how to communicate better, because some people really struggle with that
Oh
and
yeah.
should be taught.
I think
Mhm.
especially, you know, like you said, we can give a speech, no problem, but like, how do we know to pick up on certain social cues or, you know,
Yeah.
just strike up a conversation, you know, reading the room kind of thing. Yeah,
Or like answering the phone or something, talking to customers. These are all things that I had to learn at work. Like nobody taught me that in school. Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, what scientific discovery would change the course of humanity overnight?
Ooh, I think if we could figure out what to do with all this trash in the world, like the garbage that's just everywhere. I mean, they keep throwing it on other countries and into space and stuff. Like, if we could just get rid of that, I mean, I think the world would be so much better, really.
Oh, yes.
hmm
Um, what movie or book do you know the most quotes from?
Ooh, Frozen. Admittedly, Frozen.
No, I felt like you were going to the Disney area, or we were gonna tread into like the Fault in Your Stars kind of area. I don't know why. I was like, no.
I like rom-coms, but it's like if I'm feeling sad, I'll watch one, but not if I'm in a good mood. But Disney movies just make you happier, so you can watch those when you're happy or you're sad because they'll just make you happy.
Yeah. On
Yeah.
unpopular opinion, I cannot stand musicals.
Oh my gosh.
I
I'm
can't.
hurt.
I can't. I don't know what it is. Like, even as a child, like watching The Lion King made me so frustrated. I'm like, get on with it. I want to know the plot. So I was like this really angry kid watching like Disney movies.
That's so sad. I've never heard anyone like that before.
No, but yeah,
Oh
like, I
no.
just didn't understand. I just kind of like, and I was so averted to him. Like, you know, people, other kids would pick out these movies. I was like,
Like really? That's so funny. No, I love musicals so much.
they've grown on me, but that was the thing. I lost my spot. Sorry. What songs hit you with a wave of nostalgia every time you hear it?
There's this Peruvian song called Al Mundial, and it's like a song that somebody came up with a few years ago when Peru made it to the World Cup for the
Uh-huh.
first time in over 30 years. And I was there at the football game, at the soccer game when we won that game. Like I was in Peru, just like I don't know, in a sea of people and stuff. And then that song, like we won that game, and that meant that we were going to the World Cup. And that song started playing, and everyone was just like screaming and cheering. And it was just like a wave of people. It was insane. And that night was just we were out there just in the street until 4 in the morning, just like dancing around, and it was just crazy, and it was just such a great experience. And that song always brings me back.
That's a beautiful memory. Like, it's just so vivid. Like the way you explained it, I'm like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it really was.
We got to change pace now, unfortunately.
Okay.
What topic could you spend hours talking about?
Ooh, traveling for sure. Like spontaneous traveling and like solo traveling. how to save money while traveling, just anything about traveling forever. I could talk about that forever.
I think it's something that we're like not necessarily conditioned to like not do, but like it's something that's underappreciated. Like we don't really think, like I guess we're as humans, we're maybe not as humans more so, but like I guess Western society kind of teaches us to like settle down and like,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of teach you that the US is the best and there's nothing else better like out there to go see, even if it's not to stay or something. They just say
Mhm.
like, we're good here, but there's so much more out in the world to see. Even if you don't want to move somewhere else, you could still go and see it at least.
See, I would love to spend time living somewhere else and learning the customs from another country, just because like my uh, my best friend studied abroad in Japan, and she kind of like put it into perspective for me. You know, she said, you know, there's a really big difference between traveling and visiting a place versus actually living there and becoming accustomed to the way people live there as well. And I
Right.
and like thinking about it, I was like, yeah, that does make sense because like you're there, but you don't really, you know, grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Something that I like to talk about when talking about traveling is kind of how I was able to study abroad. It wasn't through ASU or anything, just kind of on my own with my own money and everything.
Mhm.
And people always ask me how I did it. And the way that I traveled, like on weekend trips and stuff, because I did live in Peru, in not Peru, in Germany. I lived in Germany for 3 months, and that was my study abroad. But on the weekends, I would travel to other countries and spend very little money doing it. And people always wondered like how. And
Mhm.
something that I like to do is called couch surfing. There's an app where people just open up their homes to you because they want to share their lives with you. Pretty much, it's not that. Sometimes it's creepy people, and you don't want to like
Yeah. I was like, that was
be with
my
those
I
people.
was like, what?
but
Yeah.
but you figure out who are the creepy ones and who you can actually stay with. But those people who I was able to stay with gave me the best experience of a native. I got to stay in local neighborhoods and stuff and eat cheaper food. If I showed up as a tourist, I was going to get overpriced and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
And you know hmm
That's awesome. I would have never thought about it that way either, too. So,
yeah.
um, who in your life seems to have the best or worst luck?
I would say my mom definitely has the best luck because she's from Peru. She
Mhm.
married my dad and they moved here and everything. My dad kind of has the worst luck on the other hand,
Uh-huh.
in that like he's the one who had to work hard and everything to get us where we are now. But my mom got to sit back and watch and just be pretty the whole time. So I would say she has the best luck.
There you
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
What are some clever examples of misdirection you've gotten to witness before?
Just straight up manipulation, I think. People
Yeah.
who are just mean. That's what I would say.
I think it's crazy though. Like especially like if you watch like I watch a lot of like SVU and stuff, so it's crazy how like those work, you know?
I know it is.
But yeah. Truth or dare?
Um, Dare.
Dare. Oh,
We'll do dare because that's always more fun. That's more fun.
wait, there's that spontaneousness coming through.
Right, exactly.
All right, dare. Do your best runway model walk for us. For yeah, do your best model. I that was more. I was getting confused. Do your best runway model
Right.
walk for us.
Oh gosh, this is going on the internet. Right? I'm doing it. Is this far enough?
Yes, I think so.
No.
No,
All
you're
right.
fine. Oh, there you go. Woo! That's
Yep.
amazing. I would give it, a 10 out of 10.
Thank you. Thank you.
No,
Ooh, that was nerve wracking.
no, not at all. You did great.
Thanks.
What's the most overrated product on the market right now?
Skincare products for sure. I think so many girls buy into all that fancy stuff like K
Uh,
beauty products and everything, and it's just so expensive. But I mean, in the end, what's going to be healthiest for your skin is going to be the most natural products. So like just a Dove body wash, soap bar, plain, no sense, stuff
yeah.
like that, and just really simple lotions that aren't gonna like don't have scents or anything, nothing fancy. That's going to be the best for your skin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't really speak to any of it, but I mean, and what I can see from the outside looking in, I feel that women are most definitely held to an extremely higher standard compared to men. So I'm like, it's totally
Yeah.
not fair that you like. I mean, you think of pink, up to the pink tax and things like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do women feel compelled to spend so much money on that? You know, but it's part of like our society too, which is a sad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being a girl is just expensive. I'll say that. And I don't spend money on all that expensive
Yeah.
stuff, but it's still expensive.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. What's your personal philosophy?
My personal philosophy, I would say, is that life is actually beautiful and you do actually have time. So I think that's something that we kind of learned during COVID, during the shutdown and everything, but that like, well, actually it would be the opposite during COVID because I think some people still felt like they didn't have time and still felt like they were miserable, even though then they had all this time to just do them, you know, do whatever they wanted, and they still didn't feel like it was enough. But if you sit back and just relax for a minute and get organized, then you'll realize that life can be beautiful and you do have a minute, you know, like I do right now to have this interview. Like I think I'm a busy person, but I made time for it. I fit it into my schedule and now I'm having a really great time. This is beautiful.
You didn't feel pressured by me?
Not at all.
Awesome. What seemingly innocent question makes you think it's a trap?
When people ask, can I ask you a question?
Yes, I'm like, this is
It's like,
like,
what? Like, what do you want to ask me? Why?
or hey, we need to talk. Instant anxiety there.
Ooh, ooh, yeah, that one too. Mm.
What is legal now, but probably won't be in the next 25 years?
What I hope is illegal in the next 25 years would probably be puppy mills. Like, I don't know how puppy mills still exist. And that just breaks my heart so much because there's so many puppies that just need homes already. And here people are just abusing that, you know?
It's awful. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That that's another anxiety inducing thing. I'm like, I look at my dog sometimes when she's asleep on my lap at night. I'm like, I'm like, I wonder if she knows how good she has it. I'm like, I'm glad this is all she knows because, like, and like it breaks my heart to think, what if she got lost one day? What if she got abused or something? And I'm like, I'm glad she's like oblivious to all that because I'm like, I can take care of her and give her like a good life. Like, she's my best friend.
No, yeah. I got my dogs from the shelter, and when we got them, they're totally different now from when we first got them, but they were actually traumatized at the beginning. Like, they would just, I don't know, cry all the time, and they were always scared of us, and they just looked so sad. And now they're two happy little dogs. But I mean, I can't imagine if they had left them there for another day, like what would have happened, you know?
Yeah.
Would anybody else have picked them up? It's so sad to think about that.
It's very sad.
Mm-hmm.
What was the biggest realization you've had about yourself?
That I haven't met all of me yet, I think. So, can you hear my dogs? There they are, they're happy. They're like, she's not done yet, there's more. but every day I kind of learn something new about myself. If not, I mean, every week. You know, there's just so much more room left for all of us to grow still. And I think sometimes, sorry, my dogs, but like when you feel down about yourself and you just think like, why am I like this or something? Because I know everybody gets insecure, everybody does. But just remember that there's always going to be room to grow. Even if you think that this is you, like there's more, you know?
I think we often forget that, we're very fluid beings,
Mm-hmm.
not meant to remain static, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Exactly.
What's the worst mistake a student can make when emailing their professor, in your opinion?
Ooh, so my mistake, my first year, I got an email. I don't remember what it was about at all, but I was new to like using Google, like the email setup that they have for us for like Gmail and stuff. Because usually I just use it on my phone before college and stuff, I would just answer on there and it would say sent from my iPhone, you know, all that.
Uh-huh.
But then this is college. And so I opened up my Gmail and I respond, you know, those suggestions at the bottom, how it can say like, okay, great, or like, sure, or I'll be there or something. I think I clicked one of those and it was like, okay, great, or something. And I just straight up told my professor, cool, you know.
See,
Bad times.
I have to be really careful because sometimes there are great suggestions like, great, that time works perfect for me. And I'm like, or of course, and they're like, they're suggestions that wouldn't necessarily fit that, you know, not necessarily that necessary context to be able to answer like
Or it says like, no thanks.
Yeah.
that was never good.
No. And like, I have like this like panic attack every time like I click it because I'm like, oh my God, it's going to send it right away. And they're going to think I'm yelling at them or something. And I'm like, I have to make sure to click it, then fix it in the way that I would necessarily need it.
Right. I just haven't touched it since then. That time I did it. I don't know how I even continued and then sent it or something, but I did that. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Wow.
I know, it was stressful.
When was a time you acted nonchalant, but were actually going crazy on the inside?
Ooh, when my first day of economics class this semester of microeconomics, my professor said, so do y'all know where I'm from? Have y'all read my information or anything? And one person goes, aren't you from Peru? And I was like, whoa, like from Peru? You never meet anybody from Peru.
Yeah.
And on the outside, I was just sitting there like behind my mask, like, okay, you know, just like every other student, just trying to get out of there.
Like,
But the little person in my head was jumping up and down and like, he's from Peru, what? Talk to him, what? That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. I have to ask for the utmost seriousness on this next question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes or no?
A hot dog is not a sandwich. I have to say it's not.
No.
Because a sandwich has two breads, do you know, two bread sides. And then, but a hot dog is connected, like a taco. See, is a taco a sandwich?
A no. A hot dog might be considered a taco then.
Is a hot dog a taco? Next question.
Oh, no. We're gonna spark like U.S. like, like, no, it's not a taco.
Right.
Another observation while we're on it. Did you realize that Pop-Tarts are just paste-filled raviolis?
What?
Exactly.
What? No. Wow, I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah. And so we have all but one question left. Is there anything you'd like to add to today?
I'd like to say join AMAS. I'm in an organization called the Association of Mexican American Students, AMAS for short. And if you haven't joined any organizations yet and you're watching this video, I would highly recommend. We don't have too much of a strict like attendance policy or anything. It's just to come and go as you please. We're always going to be there with open arms for you. We're just like a big happy family, and just come when you can and you won't regret it. It's a ton of fun.
Wonderful. Awesome. So final question. So sad. Who would you like to nominate for the Cafecito next?
My Peruvian professor. His name is Eduardo Escalante. Okay. And he's the funniest guy. Like, that class is so fun. And I just think he would be really great to see on El Cafecito.
Wonderful. We'll have to reach out to him then. Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you for coming on with us today, Sarah.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a really great time.
Wonderful. Awesome. I'm glad you did. Thank you all for tuning in to this edition of El Cafecito. Be sure to tune in next time. Bye.